Hello and welcome everyone to today's webinar, Marketing Automation Across the Full Customer Journey. My name is Andy Cluck and I'm on the marketing team here at Ledgy Partners. We're a Salesforce Silver Consultant Partner and a Microsoft Dynamics CRM Gold Partner. For those unfamiliar with us, Ledgy Partners helps businesses transform their approach to sales, marketing, and customer service by aligning these teams to focus on improving their customers' experience and providing management with metrics through technology to evaluate success. For today's webinar, we're going to be joined by our partners at Acton to put a spotlight on marketing automation and how companies are utilizing tools like Acton to build their brand, drive demand, and expand customer relationships. Now, before I turn things over to our presenter today, I do want to mention that today's webinar is being recorded and it's going to be available on demand after the live session. So all attendees are going to receive an email that'll be shortly after this webinar, and that's going to have a link to access the presentation on demand. We encourage you to share this with your team and network as well. To ensure the best audio quality, we do have everyone in listen-only mode today, but if you do have a question, please be sure to submit those in the question pane of your GoToWebinar control panel. We love questions. We have a lot to cover today, so we promise to follow up after the webinar if we don't get to your question at the end. All right, now time to introduce our presenter today, Doug Rickard. Doug is the Channel Manager for the U.S. and Asia Pacific for Acton Software. During the past 15 years, Doug has served in a sales and marketing capacity. Doug joined the Acton team 2 years ago, and he brought a wealth of sales and marketing knowledge with significant strength in assisting clients generate leads and close business, which is what it's all about. Doug, I'm all done using up your time to talk about the important stuff now. Thanks for joining us today. It's all yours.
Hey, thanks, Andy. Really happy to be here. Thanks for attending. Appreciate the time you guys are spending with me. I'll add to that bio real quick because I think it's something super relevant. In addition to working in the tech space focused on sales, I've also, outside of Acton, built up a website, sort of a blog content aggregation site. I did that prior to joining Acton, but I just want to throw some stats out there. 150,000 unique visitors a month, almost 70,000 on the Facebook business page, and 30,000 on Twitter. So I have some experience also on in this arena that's kind of relevant to what we're going to talk about. So let me quickly go over what we're going to do here. So we're going to go through kind of what is marketing automation. For those that want a high level, I'll give you a brief overview on it. Also the buyer's journey. I think we're all trying to get at how do we reach buyers effectively, bottom line, and I'll talk to you guys about how to do that based on our experience. Also, I'll give you a view into the Acton platform. I've got some screenshots. I think they're going to be really helpful to get you some detailed insight into the mechanics. I'll talk a little bit about MA and marketing automation and CRM. They really are marriage partners. Working hand in glove is an understatement. And then we'll go through Q&A if we have any questions. Okay, so what is marketing automation? I think at this point it's a pretty established technology. I think we've moved past the entry stage for a technology sector and started to move into that kind of middle ground where it's a core and fundamental element of what companies are doing. I think that some vertical industries, obviously technology, are almost saturated now because it is so fundamental, and then other industries, manufacturing, insurance, are adopting now, just based on the business dynamics, a little bit of a slower start, but ramping up. So let me do this. I think I'm going to read real quick an actual definition because it's going to illustrate something on the next slide. So from a technical standpoint, kind of like, encyclopedic look at this, it's a platform that streamlines, automate, measures marketing tasks, workflows so company can be more efficient and grow revenue. So looking at these components, I'm going to talk about what the core components are in a bit. Email marketing, web tracking, lead scoring, nurture marketing, SMS, campaign tracking, forms, surveys, landing pages, social media, etc. Okay, now that being said, I think it's important to really look at this also in a simplistic way. So really think about an MA platform is enabling or empowering you to get the right message to the right person at the right time. And I'll talk to you in a sec about why that's vital in this highly competitive arena that we're in. The internet has driven this need to a ferocious clip. Marketers have to be on the ball, and you're all vying for people's attention, in essence. Okay, so hang on one sec. I'll talk just from a high level. We're going to dive into the buyer's journey. I know the marketing automation definition section was pretty short, but it sets the stage. So the buyer's journey definition is really how are buyers getting into a situation to even be buyers? And I'm going to define that, and we're going to talk about it. So the buyer's journey, it could also be called the customer's journey. You can also talk about kind of the buyer persona as an element about that in that. And so kind of let's dive in here. So this is a statistic that I think is really powerful. Think about this. Almost 80% of all buyers are starting their purchase with a web search. So obviously the web is fundamental to reaching your audience from all aspects. And then half of those are starting to turn to social media to look at peer reviews. Think about sites where you might show up, depending on your industry, or going to Twitter, things like that, to throw out a question. Depending on the industry, a little less relevant, but still important. But the web search and the fact that the internet is the medium at this point is highly crucial. So let me keep going here. Okay, so think about the buyer's journey as a map. Looking at this, it looks like something like, Monopoly or something. What you're really wanting to do is understand this in depth and establish touch points where you're not only making sure that you're messaging people and connecting with people as they travel along this path, which they will do, you're also looking at how can you influence or impact and speed up or reshape the buyer's journey and the map itself. So we'll talk about that and how people are moving through these stages and why it's important for you to participate and even create and lay out the road or the path for them. So think about their decision-making process and think about the way we make decisions. Think about the way you make decisions. So this is kind of high-level stuff, but it's important. So people that you encounter are at different stages, and we need to target them within those stages in a relevant way. So if you look to the left here, there's the status quo, and potentially you can make a disruption. You can actually, through some education process, make them realize that they have a gap, or maybe they know that they have a gap and they're starting to do research. Maybe they have started to do research and they want to actually have a discussion, and then it gets to deliberation and decision. So I'll show you as we go through these slides that you want to play a part in each of those elements, and you want to be the person that is being the thought leader or the educator even. It's an important role to play as a company now. Companies really didn't used to play the role to the level that they have to now. So questions, real simply, questions to ask yourself to think about this from an overarching standpoint. And this gets into creating a buyer persona, etc. What would cause them to need you? How will this help them? Why are you better than other options? You can really get granular with establishing what a buyer looks like. I'd encourage that. I'll talk a little bit about that. I could do a whole webinar on that topic right there. But we're going to focus on kind of the stages, and I'll touch on buyer persona, et cetera, and we're going to get into each of these stages in more detail, and then we're going to get into the platform. Okay, so we like to call this brand, demand, and expand, the stages that you guys are involved in, and where marketing automation and CRM play a crucial role. So the initial stage, you think about it, is you're building your brand, you're doing social marketing, you're establishing what you look like in their mind, and that goes back from the dawn of marketing or doing business and capitalism itself. It's not an epiphany or anything. But within that brand stage, there's something that we call attract, and that's going to be more precise. But it's about getting and retaining mind share. And I'll talk to you a little bit about how you guys can do that from a content perspective, et cetera. And then demand. This encompasses a few stages, but it's about generating demand and lead acquisition. Thinking about it from your end of the coin, not really from a customer perspective, it's about you guys filling your pipeline, and it's about you understanding who your buyers might be. And then it's about inbound and outbound working together as a team, and I'll go over that in a sec. And then expand, obviously, when you have a customer, you want to continue to increase mind share and provide value for them, grow their footprint as a company, and reduce churn, obviously, create loyalty, etc. So we'll talk about that as well. Okay, so the attract phase, think about this. Buyers, they're starting online, right? So they start online, they start doing research, they find content. It may be based on search results, probably is. So there's a notion there that you guys want to create content. I'm going to do a quick tip here because I've been doing this for a while, and like I said, I've used it to grow a monster site. You can go and look within your industry at other thought leaders, especially vendors or industry news sites, and you can republish it. It's called content curation or aggregating. Look at what Huffington Post is doing. Look at what a zillion websites that dominate people's mindshare are doing in the consumer space or the media space, and you can emulate them. So just a real specific suggestion: if you're in a space where you're dealing with machinery or farming machinery, you're going to look at vendors that maybe you sell if you're not the manufacturer, and you're going to look for case studies that they have done, but at an industry level, so that you can go take and create content that is relevant to your market segment and borrow from them and link back to them and credit them and make sure they're not a competitor. But this is a very viable technique to shortcut your need to create original content, which is difficult and costly, but which you can also do. It's a blend. Okay, so people are out there. Initially, they're an anonymous visitor on your website, right? You don't know who they are. That's assuming you don't have a marketing automation platform. So the goal here, attract visitors to your website, right? Leverage content, build out landing pages, build out case studies. Again, aggregate. Turn your website into a knowledge hub. Okay, from an MA perspective, I'll show you visually in a sec. It's about who those people are, identifying those people, tracking what they're doing, what pages are they looking at. Let me just keep going, and I want to show you visually in a sec. I think that's a better illustration. The capture phase, you're starting to build a relationship with them. They've come to your website. You know who they are. You've got content there that you could potentially gate. Some content you make free. Some content you put a form around it. And if they want to download it, or if they want to come to a webinar, they may trade some information. And then they're in your database, and with marketing automation, you're tracking everything that they're doing and you're scoring them. And I'll show you in a bit. It's extremely powerful, and it enables you guys to dramatically ratchet up the amount of closed opportunities that you guys are doing on a percentage basis. So a gate, an example real quick, thinking about this, you have something that says top 10 trends in the manufacturing sector for 2017. That's like a bit of candy, right? People want to understand that. You put that behind a gate. You trade people's credentials, first name, last name, email, title maybe. As people come back for more content, you can have it set up to progressively profile, where you basically collect more info from them. Maybe ask them a survey type question. And then a lot of the other content, no gate. You don't want people getting frustrated that they have to fill out information to grab everything on your site. That doesn't make any sense. So it's a blend, but it can be done smartly, and I would load up your site in a very smart, cohesive, and well-branded way with content cutting across different category. Okay, so nurture, think about this as you need to message to them via email, drip campaigns, multi-stage drip campaigns, webinars, etc., to meet them along those different buying stages. Some of it may be set up to purely educate, but if their score jumps up, and we'll talk about scoring in a sec, some of it may be very specific. Some of it may be around something specific to dynamic CRM. If they're already clearly looking at that, you can get really more fine-tuned on what you're sending. But it's about dealing with how you drip out or nurture people through the stages. I'll show you again, give you a visual illustration in a second. So look, you've nurtured them. You see that their score has jumped up. In an MA platform, everything revolves around a score, right? All of the behavior that they're doing rolls up to a score that's customized. And then sales reps can obviously look at who has the highest score, how recent is their behavior. From Dynamics, I'm going to click and I'm going to view, were they on my pricing page yesterday? Yes, they were. That's why they have a score of 200. You know, you basically as a marketer can equip your sales reps to spend their time wisely. And most marketers actually will hold off on pushing leads into CRM until they have a certain score or higher with an approach like this. You don't necessarily want your sales reps focused on leads that aren't even ready to talk to someone. It's a balance, right? You obviously are used to having your reps cold call, and all of that's great, targeting companies, but you really ultimately want them talking to people who have some qualification. So from a marketing automation standpoint here, like I said, website alerts. Is someone on your page from a certain company? Boom, right into the sales rep's inbox. Templates for sales. Equip your sales reps with templates where they could send to a high score lead a pre-canned email that you've created, plain text or pretty. I'll keep going here. You get the idea. Expand. We talked about this. It's about messaging out to people who have purchased, right? Who are current customers, who are maintaining subscriptions to certain categories of content that you guys are pushing out. Maybe it's tips and tricks for a certain amount of customers. Maybe it's service dates for warranty service. Maybe it's service dates to go to a certain dealer. Like this sort of platform can cut across all of those use cases, and it does. We work with companies ranging from software to literally selling tractors, and their customers from a marketing perspective are dealers, and they're messaging out for people when to come in for service, etc. So it's about having a relationship that is tight. It's like a marriage, or it's like, yeah, I mean, think about it like a marriage, right? If you don't put deposits in the bank account, your marriage may suffer. It's about continually giving, and I think as a way to think about your relationship with customers is that give. You want to give them value on an ongoing basis, not just once they come on board. All right, so the Act-On platform. I'll try to spend about 10 minutes on this. I know we have a fast pace that we're moving at here. So look at this. This is pretty powerful. Businesses that use marketing automation to nurture prospects experience a 451% increase in qualified leads. Wow. I mean, these stats obviously can be skewed, but this is pretty common across statistics that we see by focus groups and research groups. So here's a dashboard. Look at this view. Think about it now from a platform perspective. I'm going to focus right here on the Act-On piece. CRM is married to this. It's tied. I'll show you how. So you've got a UI, a user interface that's easy to use. It looks almost like WordPress. Everyone in the marketing space has used WordPress at one point. That's not by accident. Real easy to use, organized. You've got quick start tabs, and you can see kind of the categories that a platform like this cuts across. Email campaigns, web forms, landing pages, website prospector. A core fundamental need, obviously, this goes for email creation and landing pages, is a need to create beautiful templates via a drag and drop builder without any code, resizing everything with a mouse, and have it all set to go for responsive design purpose, which just simply means it needs to look good in every device, iPad, iPhone, Samsung, whatever. And so that's kind of what is built at the core for content building. Obviously, you can pull from a catalog, you can build templates for yourself and have them all teed up, ready to go, reuse, and then you can get into all manner of strategy with this. Okay, this is the brain, or the fundamental computer, so to speak, that we also refer to as a digital footprint or digital body language. So this is visible within CRM or within Act-On, and it's all rolling up to reports. And it's all something that you score against. So you want to know, by specific person, what are they looking at on the website? How many pages are they viewing? How did they get here? Search terms. Are they opening any emails? What emails have they opened? This is all viewable for the sales rep, right? This is all fundamental info that they need at this point. It's not enough to just be blind and call on leads blindly. It's if they all have equal value. So this is, again, a view that sales reps see, and it's powerful. Two techniques that you use to turn people into known visitors. One of them is gates and forms. Obviously, you know who they are if they sign up for something. The other thing is email marketing. And I like to look at email marketing as almost a Trojan horse with dual purposes. One is to educate, and one is to cookie or have that person in your database click on an email link, and then you're tracking them, you're scoring them, you know who they are. We've stitched their browser together with their email address, and we now have a known lead in the system. So you can literally do campaigns just to try to get as many people known in your database as possible. Some of them could be like a top 10 list, like I said. Those are proven psychologically to grab people's attention. It's just how it works. BuzzFeed and all sites like that have established that that's a core way that people are receiving content now, is bits and bytes in like top 10 lists, etc. Okay, from reporting, I won't spend a lot of time here. We have deep reporting. Obviously, you need that. You need to see both from a campaign perspective, what campaign is paying you, what sort of revenue is tied to a campaign. Is that closing? Is it moving through stages in CRM? And then also your traffic and how many people are known versus anonymous, etc. Look, we have something that is pretty wild from a capability standpoint if you're not familiar with it. We have the ability to dice up and segment your CRM database based on this behavior. Not only their title or their geography or their zip code, but also what are they looking at, have they visited the pricing page, and score them accordingly. So think about those moving parts. You could say, I want any C-level contact that's been on my website in the last 30 days. And then you have that as a subset or a segment that you can campaign to try to get them to raise their hand in some way. Or simply have sales reps reach out and contact them, push them into CRM as a high-value lead, etc. So this right here is just a scoring sheet to indicate that. Right here, we talked about it. I threw that out there. Cut your list up. I have companies that have 100 segments over time. They're really creative with this, right? You do it based on persona, title, geography, but not only that, but like I said, the two stages or the two aspects, fixed data and behavioral data, can be used in combination here. So you can have funnel stages, you can have, like I said, basically all the C-level on my website, anyone who's attended a webinar and come to my website, et cetera, et cetera. Powerful. Automated programs. Real quick, this is how you automate all of your messaging. You want your marketers dealing with strategy, content creation. You don't need them actually manually running your campaigns and hitting send each time you want to run a campaign. What you do is you set up your segments and tie them to automated campaigns that will put them into a drip program and meet kind of them along their buyer's path. And so we have this kind of drag and drop situation where you could say, you know, I want everyone that has in this segment to receive these 5 emails over the course of 4 weeks. Marketing automation CRM, and then I'll wrap up in about 3 minutes here. They're basically married. Essentially, look at this, 61% of marketers send all leads directly to sales. However, only 27% of those leads will be qualified. Look, you don't want your sales reps wasting their time. You want them hierarchying and ranking their time and focusing on scored leads. So I talked about it just briefly 2 seconds ago, and then I'll kind of start to wrap this up. MA and CRM. CRM gives you the fixed data, demographics, city, state, title, maybe age, industry type, and we can even do this now based on company. We have something called account-based marketing that we can do in a future webinar. But it's all of the fixed data. And then the second group is the behavioral data. Are they engaged? What are they doing? Are they even raising their hand whatsoever? Bring those things together, put it in CRM, and combine them, both from an outbound marketing standpoint and from a sales rep activity standpoint. This is pretty straightforward. I'll sum it up here as funnel stages. Scoring dictates the funnel stage. The funnel stages follow along the buyer's journey. As they move through the path, your sales reps act accordingly. You nurture it and act on. If it's a low point value, you start to get them educated, they engage, you push it to sales, into CRM, and you rank them. So if you think about it, I'll sum it up with this. Marketing automation and CRM are basically the engine together. They're marriage partners. You don't want to just use one without the other. They're like basically made to be happily ever after married. And that's it. I wanted to finish right on time. I'm 1 minute over. Here's my contact info.
All right, thanks, Doug. It looks like we have one question. I think we got another minute here. We can go ahead. Can marketing segments be overlapping? So a customer could be in multiple different segments based on their behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can control how you want to deal with that or how you want to message out to that. But someone can definitely show up in multiple segments. You can have a nurturing campaign set up to act accordingly. It's configurable to deal with that, but no doubt, yeah, they can show up in multiple segments for sure.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Doug. That's a great presentation. Definitely a great tool with Act On and great info there. Anyone out there want to increase their qualified leads by 451%? Wow. Before we go, I do want to remind everyone that you're going to receive a copy of today's on-demand presentation shortly. And also, we have another great webinar coming up next week. And that's going to be another one of our marketing webinar series, and that's going to continue with Jody Gilroy, one of our CRM application consultants. She's going to be presenting 5 strategies to better segment your current lead database. So this is going to be highly beneficial for those in both sales and marketing roles, so be sure to keep an eye out. There will be registration info and more info on that webinar in the on-demand email this afternoon. Feel free to share that with other sales and marketing professionals in your organization as well. Also, you can check any upcoming webinars on our website. We have tons of them every month at ledgerypartners.com, and then just click on the news and events circle, and that'll take you to a list of them. Thanks again for joining us today, and from all of us at Ledgery Partners and Doug at Act On, have a great rest of your day, and try and stay cool.